What if the ultimate escape route from FROMville has been hiding in plain sight since Season 1, disguised as a children's story? While every From Theory channel is busy guessing who the boy in white is, they are completely ignoring the mechanical blueprints left behind by author K. Dillon. The Flight of the Cromenockle isn't just a fairy tale Ethan likes to read, it is a literal, step-by-step user manual leaking directly from the town's temporal grid. MGM Pluses. From stands as a masterclass in modern mystery television. While its passionate fanbase floods the internet with speculative reviews and disjointed theories regarding K. Dillon's in-universe children's book, The Flight of the Cromenockle, most analysis scratch only the superficial surface. They overlook the structural mechanics of the text itself. This is not mere whimsical lore. The book's literal narrative holds the definitive architectural blueprint to FROMville's terrifying universe. By decoding the exact storyline of the Cromenockle, we crack the core cipher of the show's impossible reality. Today, we aren't just talking about vague theories. We are cracking open the actual plot of the book to show you exactly how it maps out the lighthouse, the tunnels, and Julie's time-traveling bookmarks. Let's dissect the text and uncover the truth and solve this nightmare together. In speculative fiction, the device of a story within a story often serves as a thematic mirror, reflecting the psychological journeys of the protagonists or foreshadowing narrative beats. However, in the sci-fi horror series From, this convention undergoes a radical structural transformation. The fictional children's book The Flight of the Cromenockle, written by the in-universe author K. Dillon, is not merely an allegory for the trauma of the trapped residents of FROMville. It operates as a literal, encrypted, architectural survival manual. First introduced as a source of comfort for young Ethan Matthews during his initial, terrifying nights in the town, the book gradually sheds its whimsical exterior to reveal a complex mechanical blueprint. The surreal landscape of FROMville, with its shifting geography, temporal anomalies, predatory monsters, and malevolent unseen forces, replicates the exact narrative architecture laid out in Dillon's pages. Within the world of From, reality behaves not according to the laws of classical physics, but according to the structural rules of a dark, cyclical fairy tale. By examining the narrative arc of the Flight of the Cromenockle and deciphering its direct correlations to the characters' locations and temporal mechanics of FROMville, we unlock the foundational cipher of the town's impossible existence. To understand how the book maps onto the physical reality of FROMville, we must first reconstruct its narrative fragments as they are revealed across the series. The Flight of the Cromenockle is a quest story structured around a young, intuitive female protagonist known simply as the Cromenockle. While traversing an ordinary world, she inadvertently steps across an invisible threshold and becomes hopelessly lost within the rainbow sky, a physics-defying, multi-dimensional labyrinth where horizons bend, directions loop, and visual illusions replace stable geography. As the Cromenockle wanders this disorienting horizon, she realizes that standard logic and conventional orientation are entirely useless. The sky is an optical maze designed to trap the mind. Terrified but driven by an innate intuition, she searches for a stable anchor until she discovers a deep fissure in the earth. Descending into this subterranean darkness, she enters the massive cavern of the Lonely Dragon. Unlike the violent, fire-breathing apex predators of traditional folklore, the Lonely Dragon is defined by his profound isolation and a compulsive need to collect. His cavern is filled with a mountain of junk, debris, clothing, and broken objects discarded or deemed worthless by the outside world. To the dragon, these items are not garbage. They are his ultimate treasures, material evidence of a world beyond his cave and tokens of the travelers who came before. Recognizing the Cromenockle's distress and her desire to return home, the lonely dragon treats her with maternal kindness rather than hostility. He digs deep into his hoard of relics and pulls out a secret, magical map of the rainbow sky. This map does not show static landmasses. It provides the specific cipher required to read and predict the shifting illusions of the sky. Armed with this knowledge, the geometric distortions no longer confuse her. However, her journey home requires her to face the landscape's final, protective boundaries. She must navigate past the somber, mist-shrouded Lake of Tears. It is along this watery threshold that her loyal companion, a living puppet named Norman, is ambushed and violently executed by malevolent forest predators. Yet, by applying the environmental rules unlocked by the dragon's map, the Cromenockle bypasses the finality of death, ultimately resurrecting Norman and breaking through the boundary of the rainbow sky to return home. The direct correlation between the flight of the Cromenockle and FROMville lies in the realization that the town's physical landscape is a literal manifestation of the book's surreal settings. FROMville is not a random pocket dimension. It is an engineered, self-contained ecosystem that operates on a definitive grid of narrative rules. Number 1. The rainbow sky as the faraway trees and the lighthouse tower. In the book, the rainbow sky is a shifting, multi-layered visual illusion that prevents escape by looping travelers back to their starting point. FROMville. This phenomenon is mirrored by the faraway trees and the shifting topography of the surrounding woods. As the characters discover, walking a straight line through the forest invariably leads back to the town square. The space folds in on itself, creating a geometric cage. The faraway trees function as the moving components of this rainbow sky. Stepping into a hollow trunk teleports an individual to an entirely random, unpredictable coordinate within the town's boundaries, sometimes dropping them into a claustrophobic cellar, sometimes placing them at the base of the distant stone lighthouse. The lighthouse itself, towering over the tree line and flashing its light across an impossible horizon, represents the peak node of this optical maze. It is the architectural anchor of the sky, serving as both the source of the spatial illusions and the ultimate portal through which the boundary can be breached. Number 2. The Cavern of the Lonely Dragon. Spaces of hoarded trauma. The book's description of the Dragon's Cave, a dark, crowded sanctuary filled with the discarded possessions of forgotten people, replicates two vital spaces within FROMville: the diner's storage room and Victor's school bus trailer. When Tabitha Matthews first takes her son Ethan into the back storage area of the community diner, Ethan immediately points to the shelves of unlabeled cans, old appliances, and boxes, declaring it to be the Cavern of the Lonely Dragon. This space, managed by Tianchen Liu, is a repository for the material remains of every resident slaughtered by the monsters. It holds suitcases, keys, and nostalgic trinkets, functioning as a museum of collective grief. This environment is even more vividly realized in Victor Kavanaugh's trailer, which sits surrounded by a graveyard of rusted automobiles. Victor has spent over 40 years systematically collecting the personal effects of the dead: colorful lunchboxes, old clothes, toys, and suitcases. Like the lonely dragon, Victor hoards these items not out of greed, but because they are anchors of identity. In a town that actively erases human history and drives its inhabitants to madness, these objects are treasures that prove the people who once held them were real. Number 3. The Tunnels and the Lake of Tears. The Outer Perimeter. The subterranean network beneath FROMville, where the night hunting monsters sleep during the day, corresponds directly with the dark underbelly of the dragon's lair and the predatory zones surrounding the Lake of Tears. The walls of these stone tunnels are etched with ancient, primitive drawings of boats, stars, and monstrous figures, proving that the mythology of the town predates its current mid-century aesthetic. Outside the tunnels, deep within the uncharted forest, lies the water threshold that matches the book's Lake of Tears. Throughout the series, the presence of water is consistently linked to the town's boundaries. The distant, mournful sound of a foghorn echoes through the woods, despite the lack of a visible ocean. When Tabitha finally scales the lighthouse and is pushed from its peak, she awakens in the real world on a hiking trail, having been found unconscious near a lake. The Lake of Tears is the physical and symbolic barrier dividing the nightmare of FROMville from true reality. A watery transition zone guarded by the town's deepest, most ancient horrors. The characters within the Flight of the Cromenockle are not abstract entities. They are highly specific character templates that map directly onto the psychological arcs and supernatural capabilities of the key survivors in FROMville. 1. The Cromenockle. Tabitha and Julie Matthews as the story walkers. The mantle of the Cromenockle is split between two generations of the Matthews family. Tabitha, the mother who initiates the descent, and Julie, the daughter who inherits the map. Early in the series, Ethan identifies his mother as the Cromenockle because of her refusal to accept the static reality of the town. Tabitha digs into the basement foundation of her home, dropping directly into the monster tunnels, and later scales the lighthouse tower. Her actions track the Cromenockle's trajectory, descending into the earth, confronting the relics of the past, and climbing toward the peak of the optical maze to break the boundary. However, as the series progresses, the role shifts to Julie Matthews. Julie is revealed to possess a unique, intuitive connection to the town's temporal anomalies. She is a literal story walker, capable of navigating the fluid, shifting pages of FROMville's history. Where others see only a terrifying forest, Julie perceives the underlying pattern. She recognizes that the book is not an entertainment piece but a mechanic's manual, using its logic to position herself as the ultimate guide who must chart a safe path back to reality for the remaining survivors. 2. The Lonely Dragon. Victor Kavanaugh as the Archivist of Grief. Victor Kavanaugh is the embodiment of the Lonely Dragon. Left behind as a child after a catastrophic massacre that wiped out the town's previous population, Victor survived for decades in total isolation. His childlike mind, stunted by trauma, processed the horror around him through the imagery of the Flight of the Cromenockle, which he read as a boy. Victor's role as the dragon is to preserve the map of the rainbow sky. Because the town distorts memory and alters time, Victor's crayons and markers are his tools of preservation. His thousands of hidden childhood drawings, stashed away in boxes and taped to the inside of his trailer, form a comprehensive chronological archive of FROMville's cyclical history. His art tracks the appearance of the lighthouse, the migration of the boy in white, the slaughter of families, and the arrival of the faraway trees. When Victor shares his drawings with Tabitha and Julie, he is performing the exact role of the Lonely Dragon, handing over the structural map that allows the Cromenockle to decode the illusions of her environment. 3. Norman. Ethan Matthews and the Architecture of Resurrection. Norman, the puppet, represents the core of vulnerability and the breaking of natural law within the town. In the book, Norman's death and subsequent resurrection establish the fundamental rule that the narrative can be rewritten. In FROMville, Young Ethan Matthews is the character most closely aligned with Norman. Ethan views the entire nightmare through the lens of a quest, treating the monsters as obstacles in a grand game. Norman's narrative function also extends to the broader rules of mortality in FROMville. The town is a space where the line between life and death is thin. Spirits walk the forest, voices speak through radios, and visions of deceased loved ones manifest with physical force. The story of Norman is an operational hint embedded within the lore. It suggests that the deaths occurring within FROMville are not absolute endings, but structural shifts within the town's architecture. If a survivor can successfully locate the map and reach the core of the machine, the environment itself can be manipulated to undo the trauma and reverse the casualties of the curse. Hughes decodes the book's narrative structure to manipulate FROMville's temporal anomalies. The town does not experience time linearly. It functions like an active, open book where different historical eras 1506, 1782, 1864, 1931, and 1978 exist simultaneously as separate pages that can be accessed via specific spatial rifts. 1. The mechanics of the story walk. When Julie slips into the forest portals, she realizes she is not just moving across distance, she is stepping between historical layers. The main danger of this process is temporal amnesia. The town actively attempts to rewrite the minds of those who wander its history, causing them to forget their identities and become permanent fixtures of the past. To survive this, Julie formulates her bookmark theory, a direct adaptation of the children's book's mechanics. A bookmark is a static object placed within a book to preserve a specific location while the reader moves away. Julie applies this concept by using physical objects as material anchors to bridge different timelines. During her temporal excursions, she carries items from the present and intentionally deposits them in secure, historically significant locations within the past timeline. 2. Synchronizing across time. By leaving an intentional mark, such as a specific carving or a written note left in a hidden structural cavity of a building that survives into the present day, Julie creates a permanent temporal bridge. If she writes a phrase on a piece of paper in the past and leaves it behind, that action instantly synchronizes across the town's timeline, causing the physical text to manifest on the corresponding surface in the present. This creates a localized bootstrap paradox. The object becomes an anchor point that resists the town's spatial restructuring. By utilizing these bookmarks, Julie stabilizes her consciousness against the reality-altering distortions of FROMville, mapping precise chronological coordinates that allow her to navigate the historical loops, protect her family, and locate the primary source code of the town's architecture. The analytical circle of the flight of the Cromenockle cannot be complete without examining its creator, the mysterious author K. Dillon. Within the narrative of FROM, the origin of the book introduces an existential paradox that strikes at the heart of whether escape from the town is truly possible. The bootstrap paradox. If the flight of the Cromenockle contains the precise mechanical details required to navigate FROMville, how could an ordinary children's author in the outside world possess such specific knowledge? The series hints at a profound bootstrap paradox, a causal loop where an item or piece of information is sent back in time, becoming its own origin point. The prevailing theory suggests that K. Dillon is not a stranger to FROMville, but is a pseudonym for an older version of Julie Matthews, or an escaped survivor who managed to cross the water barrier of the Lake of Tears. Having successfully navigated the nightmare of the town by utilizing her story-walking abilities, Julie escapes into the real world. However, The trauma and the reality-warping nature of her journey leave her unable to communicate the horror through standard journalism or historical accounts, as the outside world would dismiss it as madness, the weaponized fairy tale. To preserve the manual for the next cycle of victims, she disguises the architectural blueprints of FROMville as a whimsical children's book. She publishes The Flight of the Cromenockle, knowing that through the strange magnetic pull of the town's curse, the book will inevitably find its way into the hands of the next generation of travelers, specifically her younger brother Ethan and her past self. The book is a weaponized piece of lore designed to loop back into the machine. When the Matthews family is dragged past the fallen tree and into FROMville, they bring the very instruction manual required to dismantle the trap. The story creates its own reality. The book exists because Julie survived the town, and Julie survives the town because the book exists to guide her. Ultimately, The Flight of the Cromenockle is the key to understanding the existential horror of From. The series presents a universe where human suffering is harvested by ancient cosmic forces that manipulate space, time, and physical form. These forces treat FROMville as a stage, running its captives through endless meat grinder cycles of hope, terror, and slaughter. Traditional methods of survival, building fortifications, hoarding weapons, or establishing military hierarchies, invariably fail because they operate on rules of physical engagement that the town can rewrite at will. The genius of the Matthews family, particularly Julie and Ethan, lies in their willingness to abandon traditional logic and engage with the environment on its own terms. They recognize that FROMville is built on narrative infrastructure. By treating The Flight of the Cromenockle as a structural manual, they cease to be passive victims trapped in a horror story and become active editors capable of manipulating the script. The Cromenockle's journey provides the definitive roadmap for the series finale. A descent into the subterranean tunnels, an alliance with the keepers of the town's hoarded secrets, a perilous crossing of the watery forest perimeter, and a climb to the peak of the lighthouse tower to shatter the optical illusions of the sky. Through this nested fairy tale, From reveals its ultimate truth. The only way to escape an impossible reality is to master the rules of the story that created it. If Julie's bookmark theory is correct, then everything we think we know about death in FROMville is a lie. But I want to hear from you. Look closely at the screen. Do you think Victor is the true lonely dragon of the town, or is there a darker entity pulling the strings from the Lake of Tears? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below. I read and reply to every single one. If you want to crack the rest of this mystery before the next episode drops, smash that subscribe button, hit the like bell, and share this video with your fellow From theorists. Until next time, watch the trees.